Day 114, becoming Christopher Cruz. So I was just in the co-working space, and I was writing out all the things that I'm grateful for. And I was writing how grateful I was for the last 2 days that I spent with my ex-girlfriend, because they were just so great. Like, it was so much fun. It was so perfect the way everything unfolded. And I started writing about how I'm realizing that the more I give up control, the better things turn out, because control is a very, very important thing to me. Yeah, very, very important. And so when I don't have control, I get anxious, I get stressed, I get worried, and I do everything I can to maintain control and get that control back. And it's like when I try to control things, I'm resisting the natural flow of life. And this last 2 days, I really just focused on giving up control. And it's like I had this whole thing planned out of like what I would actually do, or what we would do and how it would go. And that plan in my mind seemed like, oh, it's perfect. That'll be perfect if it goes that way. And I'm going to do everything I can to control it and make it go that way. But instead of doing that, I gave up control and I just surrendered. It's like, hey, whatever's going to happen is going to happen. Let's be spontaneous. And that's the cool thing. The last couple times we've hung out, we've just been spontaneous. And it's led us on these like awesome little journeys that we could have never expected, and taken us to places that we could have never expected. And it literally feels like we're on an adventure. Like, it feels like some kind of amazing adventure. And so these last 2 days, I really focused on letting go of control and seeing where it took us. And what I realized when I was just writing was, it's like when you let go of control of your plan, then you allow God's plan to unfold for you, the universe's plan to unfold for you. And that plan is infinitely better than any plan that you could ever possibly come up with, because that's the plan that's destined for you. That's the plan that will bring you the most joy and fulfillment and happiness and love and peace. And so, just for example, when we were driving up to the mountains yesterday morning, we drove up this highway, or this road that was going up the mountains, and it had this spot where you could pull off, and it had this amazing unobstructed view of the ocean. And it was like, wow, that's amazing. And we were both like, we need to come back here tomorrow and park here and watch the sunset, because that would be like epic. And so yesterday, when I put in Google Maps, I put in the actual location, like some location on the map, to make sure that it took us to that road again. Because I was like, oh, we have to get there at sunset. We have to watch the sunset from that place. And so trying to control it. And as we were driving, I drove past this road, and I saw it, and I was like, I just felt pulled to it. I felt like, oh man, we got to go down that road. Like, there's something, but it didn't align with the plan that I had. And right as we passed it, my ex-girlfriend said something about like, ooh, I want to go down that road or something. And I was like, you do? And that was like confirmation for me, like, follow my intuition, follow my heart. So I immediately like did a U-turn on the highway and then started going down this other road. And it took us like out of the way and everything. And it took us like down this hill, and we saw part of the sunset, and the sunset was like amazing, but it wasn't taking us to the part of the road where I wanted us to go, which was the part we saw the other day. And so we're going down this road, and I'm getting like a little stressed, because I'm like, oh fuck, we're gonna miss it. Like, we can see like how amazing and crazy the sunset is. And so we're going down this road, and then it ends up taking us to the main road. So we completely miss any of the stop-offs on the mountain to watch the sunset. And I'm like, fuck it. I'm just like, okay, surrender, just let go. So we're driving down like the main highway, the Pacific Coast Highway. And I see all these cars parked on the side of the road. And I'm like, okay, we'll stop there and we'll watch the sunset. I'm trying to control it. I'm trying to make it perfect. And then I just had to let go of control. And then we're driving down, and I just see this one spot, and I'm like, I'm going to pull behind that car. So I turn around, pull behind that car, and I think it's just the edge of a cliff. And I get out, and there's a staircase literally right outside where I parked. Like, there's no staircases anywhere except right where I parked. And we walk down the stairs, and then it takes us to this, like, open beach, which is like this tiny little beach, and there's like no one on it. I think there were literally 2 people that walked on it before us, but I don't even know where they went. And so we get onto this beach, and it's just like gorgeous. Like, we have this amazing view of the sunset. There's no one on the beach. It's like untouched. There aren't even like footprints all over the place. It's like no one even knows this beach exists. And then to the left of us are all these like rocks, and there's like a cave and stuff like that. And so we walk over there, and we walk through this like cave, or like this cavern where these rocks are. We almost get wet. It was like so fun because the waves are coming in, and then we walk out into this, it's like a private little cove, a private little beach with a rock cave, and it's surrounded by these rocks, and there's all these birds sitting, on the rocks, and we just sit there and watch the sunset. And it was just like, I was sitting there and I was like, this feels like I'm in a movie right now. Like, this doesn't feel real. It's so perfect. I literally feel like this is a scene from a movie. It was so unbelievably perfect. And that little cove was just like the most beautiful hidden gem that I've ever found in my life. And we have this amazing view of the sunset. And it was just the most perfect place that we could have gone. And I remember even talking to her like, man, remember our plan was to go like find that place on the mountain and sit in the car and watch the sunset. And I was like, this is a million times better than sitting in the car watching the sunset on the side of a mountain. Like, we found this little cove, and we had so much fun, like, running from the waves. I got fucking wet. Those waves are sneaky as fuck. They'll come up out of nowhere. And we just laughed, and we had so much fun and took some amazing pictures. And so we're going to go back there and, like, have a picnic and just chill there for a whole day. But it was amazing. And then on our way back, we walked into a freaking movie set. There's like a whole production crew like getting ready to film something, and that was cool because we like infiltrated and snuck onto the set, pretended like we were part of the crew. And so it was just this amazing adventure that was like so much better than anything that I had planned or anything that I could have planned. And it was just one of the most ultimate best lessons that I've ever had in letting go of control, letting go of your plan, and surrendering to God's plan, the universe's plan, whatever you believe in. Because that was so flawless that I was literally sitting there like, is this real? Like, I feel like I'm watching a movie. Like, this shit happens in movies. Like, you run through a cavern of rocks on a beach, and it opens up to this private little cove, and it's just fucking gorgeous, and there's no one there. And so that was like such an amazing, incredible lesson on just letting go of control. Letting go of my plan and surrendering to God's plan, because God's plan is infinitely better than even my most perfect plan. And yesterday was proof of that. Like, that was so incredible. I can't imagine it being any more perfect. Even the most perfect idea I would have of how that night would end doesn't even hold a candle to that. And so, yeah, I'm really letting go of control, and it's making a massive impact in my life. With my relationship with my ex-girlfriend, I keep letting go of control. And the thing is it allows us to get closer. It allows us to have such a good time together. Like, when we're together, we're so present, we're laughing, we're talking shit. Like, it's the best we've ever been. And I'm not trying to control it. I'm not trying to control the situation. I'm not trying to control what she's doing, what she's choosing, what she's not choosing. Like, before, I was just obsessed with controlling it all. I didn't even realize it. And now I'm letting go of that control, and I'm doing it with her. I'm doing it when we're together. Because I always want to plan it and make it perfect. And I'm realizing that the more I let go of control, the more perfect it is. And the more surprising it is, and the more like unexpected it is. And so it's just amazing. So I'm looking at the other areas of my life where I'm trying to control. It's like, my mom, I'm trying to control her, like getting things together and, taking her life to the next level. And I'm trying to control it. And she's just not doing the things that I want her to do, that I know will help her. And so I have that resistance there. I look at my business and I have resistance towards that. I'm trying to control it rather than just go with the flow of it. And so I'm really, really learning that the more I let go of control, the more everything will flow, the better it will be, the easier it will be. Because I'm in a state of acceptance, and I teach this shit. That's the crazy thing. Like, I'll tell people, like, when you're in a state of resistance, when you're resisting what's so, when you're resisting life, when you're trying to control it, that's like walking upstream against a river. It's like you look at the top of the mountain, you're like, that's where I want to get to. That's where I want to go. And so you see that, and, it's like the river's coming downstream, from the top of that mountain. And so you're going towards, what you think you want, which is to get to the top of the mountain, and you're going upstream against the river. And it's exhausting. And look at that fucking bang. It's exhausting because you're going against the stream. And at some point it's going to knock you over. And so let's say even if you do get to the top, you get to the top of the mountain, you've gone against the river the entire time. You get there, you're absolutely exhausted. And you get to the top of the mountain and you're like, okay, I made it. Now what? You're exhausted, you're tired, and now you're probably unfulfilled because you get to the top of the mountain, you look down at the very bottom, and there's this gorgeous, incredible lake, with all these beautiful trees, and there's boats, and there's people playing volleyball, and people swimming and fishing and having a good time and laughing. And you're up here on this mountain alone, and you're like, I want to be down there. That's where I want to be. Because it's fucking cold up here. There's no one up here. It's cold, it's windy, and it sucks. And you wasted all that energy going against the natural flow of the river, resisting the flow of the river to go where you think you want to be. Versus instead of going against it, going against the flow, you could have literally just fallen back into the river and let the river carry you down. Accept the flow of the river, accept where the river's going to take you, and you wouldn't even realize that the river's taking you down. Now there's going to be bumps and, logs and all the shit that you hit. It's part of the challenge of living. But this river, if you go with the flow of it, it's going to take you down, and the river is going to dump out into the lake, whereas where you truly want to be, where all the people are, where all the happiness is, where all the fun is, the joy, the peace, all those different things that you truly want. And so I use this analogy with people to help them realize, like, are you walking upstream against the flow, or are you going downstream with the flow? Because if you go with the flow, life is so much easier, it's so much more fulfilling, it's so much more abundant and happy, and it's just so much better. And so, because I've resisted life most of my life, I've tried to control it, and that just leads to massive suffering. Because you can't control your life, you can't control people, you can't control what they do, you can't control how things work out in life. And the more we try to control, the more we resist the river, the more exhausted we get. And so with this situation, I am going with the flow, and it's going better than it has ever gone, and better than I could have ever imagined. And my mind is like, wait, well, what does this mean? Like what's going to happen? Blah, blah, blah. And that's just me trying to control. So again, just letting go of control, being in the moment, going with the flow of whatever's planned. But what I know is that the plan, where I'm going, where life is taking me, is so much better than anything that I could have planned. And so I'm just really focused on surrendering to that. And it takes a lot of the stress out of life, because it's just like, I'm going to go with the flow. I'm going to trust that, have faith that there's something out there that's got my back. And that's what I've been doing. And it's been working better than I could have ever imagined. So, hell yes.